We are going live. We are going live. Here comes the live stream. And we are live now. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today here on YouTube. Welcome to OreAni 2021 Spring Lineup. Yay! Pachi, 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 pachi. School is now in session.
Boo.
Today with us we have Vinny.
Thank you for having me.
Oops, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, there we go. Then we have Vinny. Yeah.
Thank, thank you for having me.
We got Jessica as always.
Hello.
Jessica's the new Nick this season. And
I am taking on the hollowed mantle of Nick.
The name that's been passed down for generations.
Yes. And we have Sean Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Thank you everyone for joining us on this lovely, lovely day. I mean, I look out my window, it's all springy like, I guess you could say. And this season has a lot of really good shows, I would say. Like, I was surprised with some of them. I wasn't thinking I was going to watch much, but then started watching them and I was happy. Okay, I got to silence my phone. Sorry about that. So everything should be good here. Let's go ahead and talk about the first show, which is the show that everyone here seems to be watching, but no one seems to be talking about it right now. Wait, how do I do this thingy? And I always get the name wrong, so I'm trying to read it from this card here. Okay, let me see here. To Your Eternity. So I think this is actually based or off of a manga, I believe.
Yep.
Cause like I remember a friend telling me, "You gotta read this. You gotta read this. You gotta read this," and I'm like, "Will do," but never did. So now that I've seen it, I'm like, how could I be so stupid? Not have ever tried to pick this up. And it also seems to want to be one of the shows that seems to be lagging in episode counts as well, I think.
I've only seen two. That is
I
that.
think there's only two.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
I've
only two.
also seen two.
I think it's released on Mondays because according to the list I have here, there's 14 more hours until the next episode is released.
Hmm.
So later or Monday we'll be able to watch it. Monday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's Monday. So let's go ahead and ask Jessica, our fearless leader in the anime kingdom here, about what she thinks about the show.
I loved it. The I mean, I don't know how much we want to discuss for spoilers and whatnot, but the first episode, the plight of the young man really resonated with me because we're at year 1 of quarantine and we haven't been out and we haven't seen anyone. And so his loneliness and his desire to reunite himself with his family members really hit home. Um, it was definitely a dusty room by the time the first episode ended. And I have a feeling that by the time the third episode ends and we get what might be the conclusion to the second little mini story arc, that yes, someone will be chopping onions in my living room again. So I just can't praise it enough as far as the details go, as the first episode takes place in kind of an Arctic, snowy type of area, and the character's nose and cheeks are red when he goes outside because of the cold, and the little puffs of breath because it's so very cold outside, and the whole series has been like that, where little details that you wouldn't really notice their absence, or you just think, yeah, whatever, it's anime, are present, and it just adds to, I don't want to say the realism, but it makes the world feel so much more believable. And that's what makes the emotional parts of the story land and hit that much harder. So you really, if you watch one anime this season, it should probably be To Your Eternity. That's how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that one anime should be Odd Taxi, but no one else has seen it, so I'm on that island by myself. I like the way that this anime opens though, which it doesn't it doesn't have some like opening expository thing of like then there were the three warring kingdoms and the magic was revived, or you know and or it doesn't open with some like crazy mecha battle that you're like, I don't know why they're fighting a dragon, or it doesn't open with a salaryman getting run over by Truck-kun or anything like that. It's like a very stripped down, minimalistic, like you don't know anything. It's not even trying to world build that much, you know. Like it's not constantly showing you stuff. It's really just this kid alone in
Mm-hmm.
the northern wilderness. and yeah, that forces you to see the details that are there. That's just like and the episode instilled me with such a sense of dread of like, I don't know if this
Yeah.
kid's gonna make it. And you know, you like see the red on his face and his fingertips. You're like, that's frostbite. And then you know,
Mm-hmm.
some more bad stuff happens to him, and you're like, he's probably dead. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, the show, it like I can't help but thinking of the show in those kind of emotionally manipulative terms now, where it's like, uh-oh, this character met that character. Does that mean, you know, this character's dead? You know, I'm like thinking of it in terms of like who's got plot armor and who doesn't have plot armor, and like, you know, so I don't know. I guess the show now needs to show me more stuff to sort of get me out of that mindset. But that's where my mindset is. It's like, is this character dead now?
But this is a kiss of death.
So I ended up watching this with a group of people, and all I had to say was that first episode was heavy. Woo!
Yeah.
Ah, I was like, after that show, we had to watch something super light just to get ourselves out of that funk. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing one person mentioned, which was kind of funny, was that boy was so positive. And he's like, it reminds me of a little kid when he's telling the stories. Oh, and so his excitement and his outlook on everything was just so overblowing to me, and it's in very it contrasts with like what's everything that's going on around, and you're like, what? How can he be so positive? And
I
so
guess if he wasn't, he'd already be dead. So
Exactly.
that
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
so I'm like, I was just so shocked with how he took everything and just, and I think because of that, it made it so much more impactful when it came to that moment at the end. So, and I don't know about you all, but it was kind of, I think, a little fun with how you can kind of get what just the feeling of how the show might be going, but added it kept on trying to add this like kind of hopeful thing for you for some reason, or at least that's how it felt to me. Like, it doesn't look good, but they're always giving you this. Oh, look, here's some hope. Here's some hope. But it, I don't know. I'm just loving it though because I love tragedy. So, and I think this show might have some pretty good amount of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I won't be able to hold myself back. I'm gonna probably pick up the manga and spoil
Well,
myself.
if you do, please let me know if it's worth reading.
Okay, because I don't know. The animation and everything is really good. It looks nice, but I don't know if I can hold myself back on this. I kind of
Mm.
really want to see where it's gonna go. And I also want to see the pacing for the book because I wonder how many chapters each story is taking.
Uh, Judging by the cover, I think the first two episodes. Well, I think each story arc covers about a volume each, but I could be wrong. Because the first volume has that cover of the boy and the wolf, and the second cover already jumps into that little girl in
Hmm.
that tribe. So
Hmm.
it
But
feels like watching a beautiful tragedy that's slowly unfolding, and feels like
Hmm.
I'm slowly walking down the spiral. It's back of my mind. I keep telling myself, if I don't want my heart broken, I should stop watching it. But I'm tempted to tear my eyes away from
yeah, so highly recommend it. I don't think we need to talk much more on it because I think people should just go out and watch it and
Hmm.
see
I
what happens on their own.
I straight up don't know where the show's going. I haven't read the manga. Like, that's an easy way to know. But like at this point, like I don't know if this character of sorts is going to go from place to place or is going to become, one person to the next in each story arc. So I don't know. Like I need to see this arc finish so I can get a sense of like this is what the rhythm of this show is if it has one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sure like if its world building is going to stick and build or if it's kind of like disposable. Like once we're done with this place and this tribe and this culture, then we go to a completely different place and learn all, just throw all the old stuff away and like see all new stuff. I don't know.
I
So,
think I'm leaning towards the latter, since from the beginning, kind of emphasized that he's trying to build up the knowledge base
hmm.
from nothingness. So,
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got too, is that he's going to subsume the identities of the people that it meets on the way. And then we're going to watch an eternity's worth of lives. But, I haven't read the manga, so I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. So for me, like I can't really cast judgment on it yet. It's there's a fair bit of mystery to what this thing
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mhm.
if it ends up becoming that the second guessing of, soaking up the knowledge and moving on to another place like a journeyman, then I get an impression it's gonna be a lot like the old series, Lock the Superman type of thing going on. I don't know if anybody remembers that old one.
What was it?
Chojin Lock,
Oh,
the
no,
one
I
from
have no idea.
Yeah, that's a series of started from 70s. It's superhuman, kind of wanting to just blend in and do nothing, but kind of gets pulled into each conflict in the different civilizations, and this trouble circles like thousands of years. It's
Hmm.
still ongoing after 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it looks like this is slotted for 20 episodes. So it's going to be 2 core.
Ooh, nice.
20? That's an interesting number.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why it's a little bit behind. I think they started a little.
I think manga is up to like volume 13 and 14 coming up soon, so I think they have enough materials to cover that much easily.
Yeah. Well, that was To Your Eternity or Fumetsu no Anata. Ooh, I said that good. It's my first time. Next up, let's do this one. This one's super easy for me. It's called 86. Bum bum bum.
Nailed the pronunciation there.
Oh man, I practiced all day yesterday for that. Though I have to say, I got really big, like, oh my god, I've seen the show before. Vibes from it. And lo and behold, I'm like, wait, this is like Code Geass. I swear this is like a has so many things so similar to Code Geass. That every time I'm watching this, that show just keeps on popping into my head.
Hmm.
You got whatever that those the colonies are, whatever you call them, with the platinum hair and eyes,
Might
which
as
I
well.
think
Yeah.
represent the Britannians, and then you got this other
Mhm.
group, the other people, or the other things, I should say, called 86s, which I think are like the 11s.
You know, that's an interesting comparison. I didn't make that connection, and I think it's because Code Geass, the first thing I think about when I think about Code Geass is the bombastic nature of the series and how everything in Code Geass is cranked up to an 11. And I love Code Geass. I'm not being critical. And but you're kind of right that there are some similarities in the plot.
Yeah, and even the machines that are fighting remind me of that side story with the Akito and the Revenge, with the spider form that it takes when it's fighting
Hmm.
those mechs. So it made me think a lot about Code Geass as I was watching it. But of course, two different things, two different principles, obviously. And I had to watch this twice because the first time I was watching it through the corner of my eye doing other things, and then I was like, "This is actually very interesting. I got to rewatch this again because I missed a lot of important information, I believe." And the storytelling they're going with is also somewhat interesting because instead of telling a straight linear story, um, they do this back and forth where it's like, this is from the perspective of this person, and now here's um, they go back a little bit and say, here's the perspective from the squadrons, and continue the story. Then they like, oh, let's go back and goes back to the other girl, and here's her perspective of what happened. So they're going back and forth, showing us how each person feels, how each person is taking these conversations that they're having, um, and how they react to them. Which is, I thought was kind of interesting. At first, I didn't get that, but upon rewatching, I was like, oh, they are basically re-talking about certain things or showing us from a different perspective, and I found it a little more interesting when I realized that. And also, the music's done by my favorite musical composer right now, Sawano Hideyuki, who did, if you listen to it, kind of sounds like Aldo Noah Zero.
Oh, okay.
Even Attack on Titan, Kill la Kill, that guy who did all those music is the one that did
All
this.
right. I okay, that makes a lot of sense because as I was watching it, I thought, huh, this music, I like it, but it sounds like I've heard it somewhere before. So he certainly does have a distinctive style, not as distinctive as say Yuki Kajira, but uh yeah. I think it fits with the series well.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what I saw of it so far. The two different perspectives was really interesting. You get to see the war from both sides and the whole how they don't tend to treat the people who are fighting the war as actual people and they're so far removed from them that even someone compassionate like our main character, the girl, uh she might not think that they're completely 100% human. um and I like that too, because then on the other side of the coin, you had them drawing pictures and making fun of their handlers. So there's that dehumanization going on from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
The other thing I thought was interesting, and maybe it's just only from my perspective, but when they started it, I actually thought they were referring to the machines as AIs.
That's the impression I got
Yeah,
too. is that and so it was unclear if she thinks that they're people, or if she thinks that the AIs are progressing to the point where they're sentient or capable of or that they deserve rights and stuff like that. That was a little unclear to me, but I'm sure that we'll explore that as the show goes on, because that seems to be the central core theme of the show.
The other thing I also think that's going to play a big part to it is the thing that they call the power braid, because it seems to be a big thing in this universe where it looks like the 86s have them on all the time, and it comes in the form of a ring or on the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And the other people, I don't know what they're called, the other group, uses these devices, which are kind of like a collar that they wear, which allows them to share their senses. But right now, they only share um, like their thoughts or something like that, so that they can communicate verbally with each other. And they made hints that it could actually share more than that. I think, like with sight, even and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I'm wondering how far they'll go with that. And it has a lot of potential to do a lot of really weird things, I think. So I'm actually having really fun
Yeah,
watching this.
me too.
What about Evany?
Vinny, paging Vinny.
Oops, sorry, I forgot how to mute. Uh, I'm still on the fence about it. I'm not generally big on whole mecha slash the whole war kind of thing going on in the anime. But having said that, it was interesting. I kind of got dragged along with by Tank on that anime night to watch it. Okay, I'll watch it. It's on. But at the end, I thought it was more interesting than I thought. And as Tank said about the whole parallel with Code Geass, yes, I do see that as well. I'm not sure whether people's gonna think it's just another rip-off of it, or is it sort of a reinventing this real version of it? Hard to say, but I do kind of feel bad for the handler at the end of episode 2. Looks like she's about to get chewed up and thrown out, and that's really what I'm more worried about more so than anything. Because yeah, I mean I get it. Those ones who's participating involuntarily are kind of thrown into a situation where they're dehumanized and they have rightfully justified to have all the grudges over. But then, is it really this girl's fault that all this has happened?
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of blaming her for not doing enough. I'm thinking, yeah, but she's 16 years old. That's exactly what the hell do you expect from her? Really? She's not exactly the one who's holding the position to wield the power and just change the policy. So in that aspect, I'm seeing a lot of all those teenage angst bickering going on. I just hope that they kind of tone it down to a certain level, because if this becomes the regular occurrences, I don't know if I want to watch it so long for so long.
The other thing I think that caught me on this and makes me question as well is like, considering that they consider the 86 as not human or anything like that, what are the enemies? Are they robots or drones as well, or are there actually people in those as well?
That would be the
If
kicker, isn't
I if I had to bet money, there's probably people in them.
So that's one question I kind of have for myself as I watch this. And the other thing that about this, it looks like this is going to be a split 2 core series.
Oh, oh,
Now, assuming the Empire or the whichever side is using also human inside those robots to operate, would it be a plot twist if they're using those captured platinum people as soldier on their end to pit against it?
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. But
If that's the case, then I called it.
All right, we'll make a notation of that.
Yeah, we'll revisit that when second course starts.
the so I would say this was one of the surprises that I got because I wasn't expecting too much from it, and I was actually kind of surprised when it first started because looking at the cover of the illustration they have, and then when you started the show, everyone looked the same. I'm like, wait, what? I saw a lot more different colored hair people in the cover. What's going on? So that kind of threw me for a loop. That was kind of fun. But the other thing is like the show, the pacing was really weird because it would like almost show like 10 minutes to 12 minutes and then it would go episode 1 and then give you the title card.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa, okay, that that kind of shocked me. And even I think it was the third episode, they went to the credits like probably 15 minutes into the show and then they showed like another 10 minutes afterwards.
Maybe they thought the title card is a bit of spoiler.
I don't know. Give me one moment. Sorry, I got a phone call.
No problem.
Let's see, what else should we talk about next? Jessica, what was that one show you wanted to talk about that you said was like you wanted to complain?
Oh, Joran, the Princess of Blood and Snow, or something like that is the English title.
What's the Japanese title? They have all these title cards of their
Joran.
Japanese things.
That is the Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
So I watched 4 episodes of this,
Wait, what is
and
I saw 2. I just forgot to mark it down.
you saw 2.
Joran?
Okay, okay.
Joran.
So this one takes place in a world where the Tokugawa shogunate was not overthrown. So the shogun still has power and rules over all of Japan. It's a little bit unclear what year it's supposed to be, but the technology is a little different and there are cars and stuff. So if I had to guess, I would say this would technically be the Taisho era.
I think I have some vague recollection that they mentioned the date, and it was like in the very, very early Showa. I'm not sure though.
It says the year's 1931.
All right. So it'd be okay.
Early Showa.
But this is all history.
Yeah, so it's the I guess those eras are rather meaningless. But basically the main character is a woman who comes from a secret tribe with blue blood, and they have a bond with ravens that allows them to become super powered, and they can fight things and stuff. And when she was a child, a rather evil scientist man came and killed everybody in her village because he wanted their blood for his experiments, but she survived and was rescued by a government agent who then trains her for revenge. And the show does a lot of things right, but it does an equally amount of things wrong. And so that's why I felt very conflicted about whether or not to keep watching, and why I watched 4 episodes thinking, okay, where are we going? Are we going to get any better? I want to give you a chance, show, because there's a lot of artistry and effort put into this. The fight sequences, when she powers up, the art style switches to kind of a calligraphy brush, where the lines of the character are rougher than they normally are, and she's got blue flames coming out of her mouth, and whenever the blue flame goes across her face, you can see her skull. So it's very visually striking. But it's filled to the brim with cliches.
Yep.
Just so many cliches. I mean, oh my gosh, let me just say, the bad guy plays the organ. Okay, that is the level of cliche that we are going with here. Characters use explosions to escape, which doesn't make any sense because the entire set is torn to shreds, but somehow they're okay. Also, the spy character that keeps switching sides all the time is trans. Just stuff like that. That it's like, come on, you can do better. You can do a lot better than that. Oh yeah, the bad guy also has snakes. So it's not original in that aspect, but there's some things I really like. For instance, the main character does have feelings and she does show them, which is unusual when there is a female character out for revenge. Is they're typically very cold, or they don't show their emotions or what they're thinking. And I liked that she emoted and that she really got upset when kids were involved because of her background. She doesn't want kids to experience what she experienced, and so she's very protective of children. And I thought, okay, that's really some good character building. But she inhabits this cliche place and story that I don't really want to waste time seeing where it goes anymore. But so the whole premise is her trying to get revenge on this scientist guy, Janome. And spoilers, if you do want to watch this, in episode 4, she actually manages to kill him. Which I thought that was really weird because the way everything was going is he was going to be the big bad evil guy that she takes down in the end. But she's already taken him down now, so where are we going? But I honestly ran out of patience. In fact, when I was watching episode 4 and he started playing the organ, I said, "Oh, come on," so loudly that my husband came out to see what I was yelling at the TV. Yeah, so anyway, I will stop rambling, and I'd really like to know your opinion, Sean, on what you thought.
Yeah, it's the clichédness and the over the topness and the like when she powers up, becomes badass princess of snow and blood and kills a demon, then she composes a haiku or something that goes on the screen. I'm like, oh my god, this is so corny.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's just so it's that, and the production quality is so variable. Like sometimes it looks good and sometimes it looks bad.
Yeah.
Like the animation, yeah. So that didn't instill me with confidence. I don't know, and yeah, just the cliche in general. It's like everything reminds me of something. It's like, oh, she's taking care of a little girl, even though she's the super death assassin. It's like, oh yeah, that's like Leon the Professional or something. You know, it's like everything is coming from somewhere else. The only thing that kept me kind of interested was the alt history, because you know my gaijin brain can't wrap my head around what if the Meiji Revolution never happened. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, so I'm just like, my eyes are just glued to the screen trying to like get any hint of how this world is different, you know, other than with the alternative energy source. This show has a lot of parallels with a Princess Principal.
You know, you're right.
The
You're
alternative
right, it does.
energy source, the kind of like the alt history, the spy context. The only thing it has over that is also they fight demons, which I don't think they did that in Princess Principal.
No.
So yeah, I don't know. After 2 episodes, I think my sentiment was this one is not a winner, and if I want more of this, maybe I'll just wait for the Princess Principal movies that are coming up.
So you guys saying it's worth it?
It also kind of reminded me of like Vampire Princess Mew. Like it kind of brought that to mind, just the vibe of it.
I guess it really depends on your tolerance for tropes and whether or not you can, hand wave those away and still enjoy the show or not, because there are some things, there are some redeemable qualities about it. It's not an absolute waste of time or anything. It's just that being someone who's read, a fair amount of books and manga and watched a fair amount of anime, it's this story's not new. It's not, and it's not doing anything new with what it has, because you could argue that there's nothing new under the sun. But like Sean said, if you're hoping, oh hey, what would the political climate be like if the Tokugawa shogun continued to hold on to power and the Meiji Restoration never happened? Well, the answer is we don't bloody know, because the show is not interested in that. So
That's
it's
a bit of a
why even set it in that time period if you're not going to explore that aspect of it?
Yeah, sometimes like in my head, I tend to call settings like this, like Taisho but fun, or like Taisho without Imperial Japan. It's
Mm-hmm.
like where they like background the Imperial Japan stuff, so that it's like pretty much not there. You know, like Kimetsu no Yaiba is kind of like that,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like I think Japan should be fighting a war right now, but no, no, the kids are fighting the demons or whatever. You have to want to watch this show. You have to want something that's incredibly cheesy. You know, you have to want something called Joran, and then in all capital letters, the Princess of Snow and Blood. And if you're like, yeah, awesome, then you might sort of like this one.
Sounds like
actually want to try
fun.
to watch.
I might have to watch episode 1 just to see how corny
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah, it's super corny. Episode 1 is fun.
Okay, let's see here. Let's up next. We'll go with our favorite singer show, Vivi. What can I say about this show?
This is a WIT Studio thing, and that's all I know about it.
For right now, all I'm going to say is that I only saw the first 2 episodes, and to me that was like the first arc right there.
I think I saw the third. I'm not sure.
Because of how it ended. Oh my god, I was really like watching the first 2 episodes was fun, interesting in a way, but what made me like want to invest time in this was the very end of episode 2, which was kind of like a twist in a way that shocked me, and I was like, what? I did not expect that at all. And I'm not going to say anything about it because people just got to watch it. But to start it off with, it's about AI, I guess you could say. So in this world, AI, or artificial intelligence, they have a problem with artificial intelligence and making it work by having it, try to do too many things. So in order to make AI work, they basically give it what they call a mission, or one parameter for each AI to focus on, so that the AI can do its job and do what it needs to do. So in this case, it follows the AI of this girl called Diva. And her mission is to sing and make people happy. And she works at a theme park. So that seems kind of fun in a way, like, hey, it's real life Hatsune Miku. Really cool. But the way the show started was in this world where everyone's getting killed.
I loved that opening
I was
to
like,
death.
what? And you see people walking around killing each other, but then you notice that each person that's actually doing the killing has a strange mark on their neck. And you realize that those are machines, that those are the actual AIs. And it made me think of like a video game I saw people playing, which I think they called it Detroit, which had the symbols on their head, so you could tell that they were the machines.
Yeah, Detroit Become Human.
So these were, in this show, it's on their neck. And it starts off with, mass killing, everyone's dying. And this guy's rushing to try to accomplish one last thing before he gets killed. And he places all his hopes on Diva 100 years in the past. So everything that's taken place is now something that's going to happen in the future. And now we go to Diva's perspective, where she somehow gets infected with a virus. And this thing tells her that the AI is going to destroy humanity, and in order to stop that, he needs her to help destroy AI. So at first, the whole first part of it is just basically her arguing with him about, he's a virus, he can't be real, there's no such thing as something from the future, right? And then the machine, or whatever they call it, the virus, I guess you can call him, trying to convince her to help him. And in order to help, she needs to, I guess, complete certain things. But I don't want to say too much, because I think it's a really good watch to learn certain plot points as you're going through. And the first 2 episodes, like I said, are basically just one arc. So if you can at least get through the first 2, I think you'll be able to get a somewhat grasp on what this show may be about, and see if you may want to watch it or not. But it seems to be doing a very good job on its pacing and how it's telling the story, in my opinion.
One thing that struck me is that there are some close-ups in the anime where the level of detail is much higher than the rest, and that reminded me of Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, where they would have these really detailed close-up shots of the characters' faces that are just absolutely gorgeous, that you could hang them up on your wall. They're that pretty, and this had a little bit of that in it. And so I haven't looked up to see if the art director is the same person or not, because it is Studio Wit, which also did Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, so that's a distinct possibility. But I liked that art angle, and I also have to commend the Seiyu for Vivi/Diva, because she is able to walk that fine line of playing a robotic character, but also injecting just enough emotion so that she doesn't feel, impossible to empathize with. Is that you can hear just this slight amount of irritation in her voice when she's talking to the teddy bear guy. But it's not so much that you think, well, she's a robot, she can't be irritated. It's I don't know how she does it, but she really knocks it out of the park with the subtlety of her performance. And I just gotta say, maybe I'm messed up a little in the head, but I love it when cute things go on a murdering spree. So the opener of this show really was just, oh yeah, I'm gonna love this because these cute little things are killing human beings, and now let's everybody sing, and they're singing and dancing on the show, and there's the bleachers are filled with just decapitated bodies and blood all running down. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't know what that says about me. The whole time travel thing, it's like, you know, hand wavium, but I'm curious to see where this goes.
I swear, every time I see her singing on stage and she pulls her face back, I'm like, oh, serial killer. Because her face just goes so static. I'm like, whoa.
Weird.
Because she's a robot. She gives all this emotion and everything for her songs and does everything. But for everything else, she has no emotion, nothing. She's just this blank face. And it's kind of so much fun every time I see that. I'm like, oh, she's
it
gonna
works,
kill.
Though. It really works. Is that, yeah, that part's great. The way they characterize the main robot girl is great.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also liking how they're kind of playing with this idea of AR in there too, augmented reality, because it seems like there's some things out there that, like this guy, he has glasses and it has this like showing this futuristic thing of how, like, you know, maybe like what Google Glass was trying to create, where you can see all these icons through his lenses and do different things and see different things with his glasses. And I'm also having fun with that, just seeing how the technology that's imagined in this world, which makes me like, oh man, I wish we had something like that. That would be cool. So there's a few little other things that I'm enjoying besides just the whole massacre and the teddy bear and the girl's relationship. But I'm really excited to continue watching, because at the end of the second episode, there's this obvious tension that's going to be built. And this is also one of the few shows that has gone with a lot more episodes. They're already on episode 6 in a 13 episode run. So compared to everything else, which is on basically 3 or 4, this one's really out there in its episode count. But, you know, I don't think I ever heard her sing, right? They always like play that she's going to sing, but then she does. You don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's saving for the last episode.
Let's go ahead and go to the next title then. And I'm going to choose this title just because of what you said, Jessica.
Uh-oh.
Which is, this show is called, give me a second, let me pull up the information on my screen real quick right here. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. And I bet people are like, wait, how does what anything Jessica said go into this show? And it has to do with the animation, because you mentioned Kanbari, right? The Iron Fortress.
Yeah.
Where they had this weird like cell shading. I think they called it like the 0.5 cell shading thing that they did with the hair, where it made it glossy rather than the cell
really
shading.
Mm-hmm.
In Cabaneri, there was a staff position called like makeup animation, and these were people who actually went in and like airbrushed the drawings and made them look super nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't know if Vivi or whatever has that, but you know, if it is, maybe it's in the credits.
well, in Nagatoro, there's certain scenes where she has that exact same hair thing going on that they had in Cabaneri. And I was actually shocked. I was like, what in the... That looks exactly like how I saw that in Combinary. And if you were to watch throughout the episodes, you'll see that her hair looks normal, like you would see in any other type of animation thing. But then all of a sudden, they would have these close-ups with her talking to the boy, and her hair changes into that really like airbrushed type of feel to it. And I'm going to actually post this for you guys because this is what I think Sean was talking about. But other than that, Don't Toy With Me, Nagatoro's continuation of the annoying your senpai or your kohai or whatever you call it that's been going on. We had Uzaki, right, last time. And now we got this one, which is actually really popular as a manga. And I admit I've read a lot of it too. And it's really fun. At first, I was kind of shocked by the voice they used for the main character. I was expecting more like the characters that they have been using to be this high-pitched girl that's just kind of always toying and has that really, that annoying quality I guess they're going for since she's trying to be annoying. But her voice is actually a little bit lower. And so it kind of shocked me, but as I continue on, it's actually not that bad of a voice, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more. But other than that, there's not much to say. I mean, it's like if you've read the manga, it seems like they get 3 chapters per manga from the manga and putting it in an episode or something like that. And it's just high school girl. I think she's kind of like a, what do they call them? Garus? Or the
Gyaru?
delinquent type of girls.
Oh, Kyaru.
Yeah, that meets this, nerdy kid, but it just so happens that he's not really an otaku-ish person. He's more of an artistic person. So he's always trying to draw and paint, and it's not like he's drawing, painting manga. He's doing actual art, fruit bowls and statues and things like that, as he's trying to learn art. And it just so happens that he actually, I guess he does draw manga. Never mind. She happens to find a manga that he was drawn, gets interested in it, and then starts talking to him and picking on him, and finds it so much fun to see his reaction. So, if you like Uzaki-chan, you might like this. Granted that they're younger kids, and it's not the college life, but it's still, I find it really fun and entertaining still. So no one else has watched it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a strong aversion towards that type of series, so unfortunately.
Well, at least check out the first episode, I would say, because to see that style I was talking about that they do with the hair, because I swear that it shocked me when I saw that. And I will have to say one thing. She has that, what do they call it, the fang?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's been annoying me because they keep on changing it. Like, it'll be flesh colored, and then all of a sudden it'll go white, like for the tooth, and then it'll be flesh colored. They're not too consistent on it. And then she also has this weird face where her eyes kind of do this, like, up, like she's just squinting. And every time I see it, I just think pirates. Like, arr. Because of how she does this face. And I don't know, I'm just having too much fun watching this show. And I think it's mainly because I love the manga, and I know a lot of other friends that have read the manga, so as they're watching this, they're also really enjoying it as well. So it may be a show that's geared towards the manga lovers, but it's really fun. Is there any titles you guys wanted to try to target or hit?
Well, I could talk about Kabaddi for about 10 seconds.
What's
I started watching this weird sports anime, and then as they started explaining the rules of it, I'm like, that's not a real sport. You're making this up. And then I went to YouTube, and I'm like, holy shit, they're actually playing this sport.
I had this
In Thailand or something.
So it's called, what's this thing called?
Shakunetsu Kabaddi.
Oh, Shakunetsu Kabaddi.
It's kind of like... So imagine like dodgeballs, but no balls. And instead you have to trespass across enemy lines, and only one person can do this at a time. And you have to like keep chanting something while you're doing it, and you have to like tag someone. I don't. It's weird, and you're trying to tag someone while you're chanting, and if you run out of breath, you have to like return to your space. It sounded like the most bullshit thing, so I'm like, that's not a real sport.
So they're basically playing tag.
Yeah, it's like a.
But it's a team sport. With,
yeah,
in a field with boundaries and stuff. It is weird.
It was interesting, and I'll say that I found it to be the sport, not the anime, but the sport was something that I would maybe willingly watch, because I'm not a sports person at all. It was certainly interesting them say baseball or basketball, just because it was so novel and weird. But we're getting closer to the curling anime of our dreams, guys. I don't know if you've heard about the hockey one that got greenlit that's coming out in the summer.
Oh, hey, maybe I'll watch that.
Yeah, we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
They're gonna run out. There's gonna be nothing left but cry.
But and maybe it's because I didn't grow up with this sport on television, and it's so just different from anything I've ever seen. But seeing these guys saying kabaddi, kabaddi, kabaddi the whole time, and I'm thinking, but it takes a breath to say it. So if you can only be in the enemy territory for one breath, if you say it more than once, then doesn't that mean you've been over there too long? I don't know. It was weird.
So is it good?
And no, we don't know.
I don't know. I've
that's
seen
our
the
useless
first
review.
episode. I might watch the second one, because I feel like I have to understand this damn sport now. But I'll let you know at our end of season wrap up how far I made it.
I thought it was a basketball anime when I first saw this picture. Oh.
You would think, but there's a distinct absence of ball.
Ah, I thought they just didn't put it in because they wanted to show the faces of
Yeah,
everyone.
it's like that guy is reaching for the basketball.
Yeah.
But no, he's reaching for another guy or something. He's gonna tag you.
Tag, you're it, teehee. And they start running.
I thought that the rules were kind of interesting, so I hope that they're able to do something with the drama and make that a compelling reason to watch, but my hopes are not high.
It seemed like a run-of-the-mill shonen anime featuring whatever sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't continue with the anime because that was just launchpad to get onto YouTube and look up Kabaddi.
Fun. Okay, let's go to the next title then. I'm going to pick this one here. Boop. Super Cub. Sponsored by Honda. The only reason I say that because every single vehicle in there looks like it's a Honda.
There's a lot of Honda Fit.
So, after watching To My Eternal, We need
To
something.
your eternity.
Sorry, to your eternity. Whatever.
You keep saying
I
that.
don't know why I say that. To your eternity. I guess I just want to be eternal. We ended up watching Super Cub because we wanted something up more uplifting to give us that break and not have that deep darkness that was seated within us from watching that show. We watched Super Cub, and it was really, really fun. This is like Albert all the way. I think if he's not watching it, he should be kicking himself in the, because
I'll be shocked if he doesn't.
this is his show, 100%. I swear. But it's actually very, very interesting how it is. Super Cub is like a type of a vehicle, I believe, over there. It's like a motorcycle, but more like, I guess, maybe a scooter. And it starts off with this high schooler who seems to be somewhat of a loner. She wants to buy a motorcycle, but she can't afford the prices that she sees. And then the old man's like, well, how about this? And he brings up this used vehicle, which is a Super Cub, and tells her the price where it's really cheap. And she's like, I'll do it. And she goes, gets her license, and purchases the vehicle. And now we're on this journey with her as she learns more about her Super Cub and life with this vehicle that can take her anywhere. And it's been really fun. The music's very calming. It's very it's just a slice of life healing anime. I would say that's also very educational. And it's not in a way where it's like they're shoving all this info saying, "Oh, look, this is how you want to." No, it's her. We're on a journey with her as she's learning what to do. Like she goes to the store at the middle of the night, and all of a sudden her motorcycle won't turn on. She doesn't know what to do. She's there sad, and then she remembers, oh wait, the manual, and opens it and looks up if the thing won't start. What's the first step you do? Is there fuel? She looks, oh nope, she has no gas. So that's when she learns and realizes that she needs to put gas in her vehicle. And it helps her go through the process as she reads it, and she learns how to fuel her vehicle. And it's just, so much fun just going on this journey with her as she's learning more about the thing. And she eventually meets another person that has her own Super Cub, and they're slowly making this relationship, which I find was really awkward at first because it seems like they only really talk when they're with their vehicles, but in school there's like almost no conversation with them at all. Like she'll go hi and they go, But then all of a sudden, when it's lunchtime, they're at their vehicles. Oh, just talking, having so much fun. So it's kind of weird how they're showing this relationship, and I want to see how that goes. But other than that, it's your run-of-the-mill healing type of show.
How much of it is devoted to like motorcycle stuff?
Quite a bit.
And how would you compare it to like Bakuan? Because that exists, doesn't it?
It's quite a bit of information about the motorcycle, but they do it in a interesting way. Because like I think what was it, Bakuan is more of like a club sport, right? Where they all are in a club to ride or do whatever. I don't know. I didn't watch that show, but this one seems to be a little more different. It's just her learning to how to deal with the new experiences that she gets on this vehicle. Like at first she's driving only 20 kilometers per hour, right? And as she tries to speed up, she realizes that she can't because her eyes, the wind's hitting her eyes, and she doesn't know what to do because her helmet that she has doesn't have a visor or anything. And she realizes that there's these buttons on the side, and she's like, "What are these for?" And as she talks to her friend, you realize that she can get a visor that she can buy to add on to her helmet. And then as they're looking up prices, they're actually ranging a lot of different prices. And then she sees someone painting, and she sees them with goggles, and she realizes, wait a minute, I can use goggles. So she buys goggles instead of a visor to save on money. And then now she's able to vamp it up and go a little faster down the road. But it's like moments like that where she's just learning about the vehicle in a subtle way, where it's not like these people are trying to teach her all about everything you need to know about this vehicle. It's her trying to learn and going through the processes as she realizes, oh, this might be a problem. How can I try to solve this? But since she has no knowledge, it's kind of a little journey in the way of how she has to process the different ways she can go about it and learn or improve her riding experience. Because, like, even at first, it's just her going from home to school, and she doesn't realize it until the friend mentions it, or her, that with the vehicle she can go anywhere. And then one day she's just like, what if I just go this way today? And she starts driving in a different way and starts noticing new things. So it's very, slow paced and very calming with the music that it's playing. So it's not like that other show you mentioned, but it does have a lot to do with learning more about the Super Cub, I guess you could say.
It's very low key type of series. There's really not much. I don't think there's really much of a fantasy element mixed into it. Super Cup, the model that she's riding is very much real. All the problems that she's encountering is real. And given her very introverted personality, the friends that gets introduced in who happens to have different models of a Super Cup kind of it becomes an extension of her knowledge base that she wouldn't be able to get it by herself. Because when she got that Super Cup, which has quite a bit of a history to it, that's why the old man who was selling it from the store was a bit hesitant about selling that Super Cup for cheap. But there's a limit to how much she can refer to the manual to figure out what to do, because the manual doesn't tell her about the wind issue that she's gonna encounter when she decides to go a little faster, and how to secure the bike, because she gets a very anxious about leaving her Super Cup parked at night time without really nothing going on. She locked the good Super Cup, but it's light enough that if somebody wants to steal it, they can just lift it up and take it away. So the solution that she later came up with is by saving money on not having to buy the visor, she ended up getting the goggle and the bike chain for cheap to give her a little bit of peace of mind. But that also gives a little bit of inner workings about how her mindset is slowly changing from I'm kind of rolling in motions, just floating along the line of everyday life without really standing out or befriending anybody or having any kind of particular hobby. So now that her life is kind of centering around this Super Cup, and I like the part where every time she's doing something with her Super Cup, the color changes. Everything becomes more vibrant because when she's not doing it, everything kind of looks very washed out, very grayish color. But when she's actually writing it, her moods reflect in the color changes in the series, which I find it. And it's gimmicky, but I like it how you can convey her emotion without having to really spell it out. But yeah, as Tank said, this has Albert's name written all over it.
Hmm. And it does some pretty interesting things. I thought, like, I know it's not anything big, but like when one day when she got home from, I think it was after her incident with the fuel tank where she realizes that she had no fuel. She finally gets fuel in it, and she just so happened to be writing at night. And right when she gets home, she's like, "Ah, oh, that ordeal is finally over," and she lays down in front of her front door to relax. That now she's gotten all that stress away, and it goes to the next day where she's still sleeping in front of the door, and she gets up right there instead of it showing that she made it to her room or anything. So they have these subtle things that I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny because she was just so exhausted from everything that she just had no time to do anything else. And but there are some concerns that I have, especially with the last episode they showed, because she mentions that before all this she had no family, no friends, no money. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Because she's living in this house and you've never seen anyone else. She's all alone. What happened to her family? What's going on? How is she paying for things? And there's just a few questions that now are just being put into my head, but I'm not expecting anything too bad because this is of course, healing anime. So
I don't know what happened to her family, but I'm guessing she's living with the government assistant. That's really the only guess I can think of.
hmm but I would recommend it if you want to watch something that's just to wind down, I would say. Because it's not bad. If anything, just I kind of almost had this like with some of the music, like this Natsume Yunshincho, whenever they have those passive moments where you're just looking at the countryside and they're playing that music. It's just just really relaxing.
I think the animation quality is the leaps and bounds better than Bakuon. Bakuon kind of looks rather crude at times, but then so did the manga. It has that character looks very jarring with the motorcycle they ride, but in this one, character it conveys a lot of her feelings with a lot of subtle gestures and movements. There's like a lot of small movements that the way her fingers move, the way she pours a drink into the cup. There's a lot of things that makes you think that they really put close attention to all those small details. I don't know if it's gonna hold up 3 episodes. It looks very nice.
Talking about Albert.
Yeah.
Hello.
Albert, you're watching Super Cub, aren't you?
Of course I am.
Oh my god, that's what we're talking about right now.
Oh. Well, good for you.
We're like, if Albert's not watching this, he needs to kick himself. This is your name all over it.
Yeah. So how much did you talk about?
Quite a bit about it. One of the questions
Okay.
was asked was like, how much is it about the motorcycle learning versus, like how much?
Yeah, I don't think it's so much more about like the technical aspects of writing. It's more of a slice of life about how the main girl Koguma's circle of well, she had no friends, so because she has a cub now, that expands her horizons, expand her where she can go, expand. So it's more about that kind of discovery along with self-discovery, I think. So I am enjoying it quite a bit, and I think there's 3 episodes out currently. I've watched all 3.
I have to ask Albert, did you get psyched out in episode 1 when she yelled, "I got a Super Cup," and everyone's like, "What?"
I've actually read the manga, so I knew that that was um, part of her I guess daydreaming delusion. But yeah, it's pretty funny, and I thought they did a really good job adapting it. So it was a lot more obvious in the manga that she's just imagining things, but in the anime, it makes it seem like for a second she actually did.
Oh man, I got
So
psyched out. I was like, wait a minute, why would she do that? I'm like, I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I feel so embarrassed for her.
it's all good. So yeah, it's one of the shows I'm really looking forward to every week, and I will continue to watch it, and we'll talk about it at the very end.
Oh yeah. We're, I'm loving it. It's. I feel like if I ever have a bad day, I just gotta pop this on, and I think I'll be okay. It's to me, it's that relaxing and that good.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the OP there's clearly three girls, right? So I'm wondering when the third girl will be introduced, and the problem is it's quite a bit later in the manga. So I think they might be skipping a small arc in between that happens to get to her sooner, but we'll see if that's true or not.
Mm-hmm. But
So
yeah,
yeah.
the ending's beautiful too. I love the ending. It's all like pencil sketched
Hmm.
drawings, and it just I loved it. I'm like captivated by the ending.
The song is really nice too, and it's sung by the three main voice actors. So, like many modern anime, the voice actors need to be able to do all kinds of things, including singing. So, yeah, nice harmony, nice song. I forget who wrote it, but yeah.
All right. Well, now that Albert's here, we can finally start this show. Let's talk about what everyone's talking about. Albert's favorite topic, isekais.
God.
The what's this is like a super long name, right? Um,
Wait, which one?
slime
Oh, yeah.
Taoshite 300 nen shiranai uchi ni level max ni nama nattemashita. I've been killing
Yeah.
slimes for over 300 years and maxed out my level. I'll have to admit, I read I think it was either the web novel or light novel, something like that, and oh my god, this was boring. It 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 wasn't filling my needs.
Oh no, all's lost if the tank doesn't like it.
But then again, that was like when I was first starting to get into somewhat of the light novel world, so I was more into like OP character and we gotta save the world. I'm the hero. So this, when I was reading this, I'm like, this is kind of really passive.
It's okay. You could say boring.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess. But I'm actually surprised. I'm enjoying the anime. it,
Hmm.
um, I don't know why I'm enjoying the anime. Like I said, the book didn't do anything for me, but watching it, it's just stupid. I guess stupid fun that I can just enjoy. I'm not heavily invested in it, but um, I don't know. I guess compared to, do we have any other really isekai shows right now that aren't just full blown etchy?
Um, Not sure. I'm not watching. I mean the other slime isekai has a spin-off. right? That's going on this season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, story short.
Vinny, your volume is really low.
Yeah, I've been told by Tank as well. I don't know why.
Yeah, I had to put his thing on max on my side. But story short, this girl, I guess I don't know. She was like a workaholic or something, and she
Yeah,
worked herself to death. And then she was, she met, I guess, what was it, a god or something? She met a god.
yeah. God who has a thing for 17-year-old looking girl.
Yeah, and um, ask her like, I'm going to reincarnate you. Is there anything you would like? And she's like, yeah, I don't want to have to worry about working anymore. I just want to have a relaxing life. So she's reincarnated in this world back to her younger self, or a younger version of herself, and also given immortality. And
Yeah,
she's given basically just a house, and just she decides that she's going to take everything easy, and she just just decides to have some kind of form of income. She kills a few slimes each day for 300 years. And it just so happens that if you do that, you get a lot of XP. And she ends up becoming the your stereotypical OP character, but she doesn't want anything to do with battling or doing anything too big. She just wants to still continue her leisure life. But because of a nosy people, I guess you could say, information starts to get spread around, and now her life is kind of being turned upside down. And it's her trying to balance that and get it back to normal. But now she's being introduced to all these new people, and her, I guess, what she calls her family is now increasing. And that's just the gist of it, I guess you could say. Is there really anything else to add to this story?
Sorry.
uh, it's just a slow, slice of life with a lot of comedy in it. Um, yeah, the cast like keeps increasing, so you'll see a lot more cute girls, which there's a lot of, and yeah, it just gets more and more wacky. But fundamentally, everyone in the world is pretty nice. That's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the most powerful being currently.
But the biggest difference I think about this compared to other OP characters is that she became OP through stats. So she's still very kind of noobish in what she can actually do, because she's never really had any use to use any of her abilities. So it is kind of interesting when she does get into these kind of conflicts, because she she's never really used her abilities to really fight or do anything. So she's also kind of learning how strong she really is as well through these conflicts.
Yeah, I mean, for 300 years she didn't practice any of that because it was, it was bothersome. She just wanted her slow life, and so for 300 years she just has a slow life. And if you don't check like your stats, like in game, if you just keep leveling up and don't check your stats or your skill point allocation, and it's auto allocated, well, before you know it, right? By the end of the game, you're pretty powerful, and that's what happened to her. So like she's maxed out, and she did not realize she had these double experience point skill and a couple other things, and ability to do all these other magics. So Yay, being immortal sounds pretty good.
Hey Vinny, can we get a mic check?
Okay, how's it now?
Louder, yeah.
Awesome.
Ah,
Oh,
you're
cool.
too loud. God, I'm just kidding. Let me lower your volume here. Okay, click. Let's see
Well,
how
you're
that
like Goldilocks, Tank. Oh, it's too loud. Now it's too soft.
works.
There's no pleasing him.
Oh, whoa, I gotta really lower your voice.
There we go.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was 300 slimes a day or something like that a year. 300 years. Sorry.
I don't know. I start reading manga first before watching anime. I was like, wait a minute, they don't look as cute. That's the first and only impression I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point that Vinny makes. The manga, I read the manga only, and then when they announced the anime and I watched the first PV, I'm like, that's not her, because in the manga the main character is drawn kind of rounder and goofier and more humorous, I would say. And so I realized that they're actually going off the illustrations on the light novel. Um, and it's more true to the original. I think the light novel, web novel, whatever is came first, and then there was a manga adaptation. So I get it, but I I do enjoy the manga. It's kind of more goofy and makes it goofier because of the character designs in the manga. But if you like, except for the fact that she keeps bringing up, you can't work too hard, or bad things will happen, because that's what happened to her. She worked herself to death. So, except for that, she doesn't really bring in any knowledge of her previous life. So, for all intents and purposes, although it is isekai genre, it's one of the a very typical not connected to her previous life isekai genres. Unlike last season's Mushoku Tensei, which a lot of the trauma and history and what happened to him, the main character in the previous life, carried over into this, and he has to, he's kind of a shitty guy and has to overcome all of that. But this is much more typical isekai. It's not highbrow. It's just goofy and kind of funny, and if you like that kind of thing, then it's a light comedy slice of life with a lot of cute girls. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. So get on it, Jessica. This is your show.
If you say so.
Let's go to a next title then. This one I'm actually a little more interested in, just knowing what it's about, because I have no idea. And it seems like at least 2 people watched it. What is this Mars Red?
Geez, I don't know. This is kind of like the slightly less hokier version of Joran, the Princess of Snow and Blood.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think, what is this, Taisho or early Showa, or it's some sort of.
It's Taisho. This
Okay.
one.
Right. Yeah. I guess there was. Never mind. I'm trying to like recall the fashions in the show that aren't just the Vampire Squad uniform. So it's about the Japanese military has some like secret vampire squad where they're enlisting vampires. And also there's something of a vampire outbreak in the city. So part of what the Vampire Squad does is they investigate vampirism. They're trying to like round up the vampires and sort of offering them like either join the military, or I don't know what the alternative is. Or die?
I think it's imprisonment or experiment on or something along those lines.
Yeah, so this is like normal vampirism in the sense of like they die in the sunlight. When you get bitten, there's a chance you become a vampire.
I honestly thought it had something to do with Mars.
So according to, yeah, I mean Mars is like the color. So it's kind of like the color of blood is what they mean.
Oh, okay.
So it's based on I almost want to call it a stage play, but it's like a stage reading or something like that. I don't really know what the functional differences, but stylistically it's very like stage play-y
Mm-hmm.
in the way that it's presented and the way that it's framed and all that stuff.
Kind of like Dances with Devils.
Yeah, it does have maybe not as overt as that, but
think-
it definitely feels like a stage play.
Within 30 seconds of the first episode, I paused it. I'm like, okay, who worked on a Shaft show? You know, I was like going into the credits and like this. Apparently, there's not that much like Shaft connection. It's just kind of like there are these kind of over the top stage aesthetics going on, and that kind of makes it shafty visually. And I don't know. You know, most of the time I'm just kind of I'm not emotionally engaged. It's more like I just have my head tilted. I'm just like scratching my chin. It's like it's a curious show, and like some of it doesn't connect. Like I felt like episode 2, which was kind of a obligatory like vampire couple tries to escape the military, but you know then it ends in tragedy. Like that wasn't they weren't really fleshed out enough to have an emotional impact. So it's kind of like I can see the genre trappings of it, but I don't really know what to make of Mars Red. In episode 3, there was a whole lot of like political machinations, you know, because they're showing how the military is actually this kind of complicated Japanese bureaucracy, and you know people with different connections and different positions of power trying to jockey for control over these institutions. And you know I was vaguely interested and vaguely bored. And then there's another neat bit about like one of the guys in the vampire squad has a wife, but because he's in the vampire squad now, he's officially dead. But then he kind of like arranges a way to sort of appear before his wife as a ghost to say parting words, and I thought that was like a pretty cool scene. So I don't know, like some parts of Mars Red is interesting and it works, and other parts I'm not too sure of. I'm not sure if I'll get to episode 4. You know, it's just like I guess that I have to be faced with it. You know, it's like when I see episode 4 ready to watch, it's like, okay, am I going to spend 24 minutes watching this or not? I don't know.
It also is an ambivalent watch for me as well. Is that it's not bad, but it hasn't really hooked me yet. So we'll see if I lose interest and go on to other things during this season. It's not bad, but you know what? I've never been one for vampires, so I think if you like vampires, you might like this interesting twist on it. It's certainly one that I wouldn't warn anyone away from it, but I'm also not going to sing its praises either.
Yeah, it's just okay, and I don't know. Maybe I will watch another episode just to like try to form a more concrete opinion of this thing. I certainly like the idea of it.
So it's better than Joran?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
That seems to be the consensus. So I was just curious. I
But
haven't
that's
watched
not-
either one.
It's not hard to be better than Joran, though.
Nice.
Unless, what was that called? X-Arm?
Oh.
Well,
Oh gosh.
I mean,
You had to bring that up, huh?
but haiku, doesn't someone write a... No, they quote literature in a... Yeah, Vinny says, but haiku in the chat. Like, Drawn has the haikus after the battle, but I think this one they quote literature and put the quote on the screen. So, you know, similar levels of pretension there.
All right.
They're kind of similar shows, but the Mars Red is more laid back.
So would
You
you
know,
say
it's not quite as over the top corny as Joran.
Would you say this is something to try, or
I don't know. I can't wholeheartedly recommend this thing. It's just kind of curious. So it's like, does the subject matter interest you about like military politics and vampires in the Taisho period, and with like theatrical aesthetics sort of within it?
I would say that if you don't have a lot to watch, just check it out, because who knows, it might click with you.
well, let's go to our next isekai. It's not really an isekai actually. It's a full dive. This ultimate next gen full dive RPG is even cheatier than real life. So, what can we say about this title here? So what is it like? What was it? Sword Art Online, right? That introduced the full dive thing with the helmet, right? But in this one, I guess it's a chair or something that they sit on, and it takes them into this game. And there's now a lot of different games, a lot of different things out there. But at one moment in time, there was this one game that was considered one of the worst games ever. And when we were first introduced about it, we don't know why. And the main character, which is Kirito.3 or something like that, I swear. He's trying to get this newest game that's coming out, and goes into this store that he's never really been into to try to purchase the game at a discount, and he gets roped into buying that one game, I guess you could say, which is considered the worst game ever. And the girl's like, come on, just try it out. So the thing about this game is that it's hyper realistic. He can taste, smell, feel, and even, everything, pain and that stuff. And this game he's just thrown into there with like no tutorial. There's nothing. It's just like, you're now in this life. And it's funny because he's told at the beginning of it, become the hero, save the world, and now he's just in this village and he wants to go out, and the NPCs are like, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to leave the village? He's like, well, because we need, and then they're all trying to stop him. No, you can't leave the village, it's too dangerous. And it's like NPCs, everything there, of course, doesn't act like an NPC, acts like any other person. The AI is so advanced that he's having a hard time trying to process what's really going on, and he accidentally ends up killing his friend. And now the game's all he's now a wanted murderer. He can't leave the town. He has no tutorial. There's nothing. It's hilarious, all these things that he's going through. Even the childhood friend that he has there, that I guess was a brother and sister, he ended up killing the brother. And now the sister's like, I gotta avenge my brother, and now it's chasing him to kill him. And it's just so stupid, this whole show. And I can't recommend it. And I'm watching it because of how dumb it is, but I can't even think of myself even rewatching this ever again. So I don't know how to explain like why this is so good or why it's not good or anything, but it's just like over the top where everything's bad is happening to the protagonist. And like I said, I love tragedy, so everything is just like, oh my god, he's suffering so much. This is so fun. And not much else to say. And it's not like it's a death game because he can log out. And he does log out, but he gets tricked into logging back in again. And even worse stuff happens to him. So right
Wait,
now,
how does he get tricked into logging into a crappy game again? How's that possible?
because of
More
the
gotcha.
because of the girl that convinces him to play it. You know, she's pretty. You know, she has the plot, I guess you could say, and she promises to help him. So he goes back into the game, and of course, he gets into more trouble, and she's nowhere around. And finally, like when she does appear, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was watching anime. I forgot the time." So there's a lot of things, but like this latest episode, I think 3, he's now just totally like, I'm never playing this game ever again. This game is the shittiest thing. So, of course, now I have to watch episode 4 to see how they trick him into getting back into it. And it's like, there is no reset for this game. You can't just reset it and go back to the beginning. If you die in this game, the game officially kills your whole chances of ever playing this game ever again. And like, your IP or whatever is recorded. If you want to just restart, you have to buy a whole new device and everything, which is like thousands and thousands of dollars just to restart. So there's no way he can restart.
That's not how software works, but sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is totally just dumb, but it's I just want to see how far they take this. And it's like everyone wants to kill him basically. And no one's going to help him, and he's already has problems. Like, he's this recluse kid that doesn't really communicate with anyone in his class or anything. He's a loner. So now he's playing this game. I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on. That's why I'm kind of continuing on watching this, even though it's like, I can't say this is good at all. But it's somehow cooked me into it now, where I'm like, how far is he going to get? And how are they going to keep on tricking him to playing this game? And like, it seems that it looked like a harem type of thing, but then again, now all these girls that were introduced into is somewhat like what I thought was going to be a harem are girls that want to hurt him or kill him. So I don't know. All I have to say is watch it. Join me in this trash.
No, pass.
It feels like some kind of punishment game. Whoever fails to get to watch this episode, this series for some reason.
Yeah, so I think, what was it? Jessica's taking the other show, so I'll take this one. This will be my punishment for not watching enough anime last year or last season. Yeah. Let's go to the next title. I can't find a title card at all for this, but I'm kind of interested in knowing what it's about. It's called Maiko-san Chi no Makanai-san.
Oh yeah, I saw like 1 minute of this on like NHK World. So if you want an official stream of this that's free, then go to NHK World.
It's also on Crunchyroll, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's where I watched it.
NHK World Japan on demand. It's subbed in English.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. So what is this about? Like, what is this?
It's it's basically food porn. Um,
Well,
but it's
kinda.
kind
That
of. But it takes place in Kyoto, and it's about a girl that is on the path to becoming a Maiko, and her friend, the other girl, is the cook in the Maiko house where all of them live together. And so you have um, each episode is kind of broken up into little vignettes, and each vignette is centered around a part of the Maiko life and also a certain dish. So both are featured prominently, and then after the vignette, the two girls come together and talk about the dish. Now, I'm not really into the whole cuisine anime thing, so this didn't really do it for me, but if you like food porn type shows or you have an interest in the culture and whatnot, then I would say check this out. It's not my cup of tea because I just feel like these shows are being very cruel when they show these absolutely exquisite meals and I can't eat them or even smell them. I don't get a whole lot out of the cuisine anime,
Uh,
but it's not bad.
let's see. I don't know how long the animation's gonna last through, so I can see that initially it focuses a lot on the cuisine per se, but in the series itself, it's a adaptation of a manga. It's about 194 chapters long and ongoing. It later on it focuses more about the interpersonal relationship between those two friends who came to Kyoto to aim to become a Maiko, which is what commonly known as a geisha in Western culture, I guess. And one had the proper mindset, or she has a neck to become one, and the other main character, unfortunately, did not really have what it takes to become one. So she ended up accidentally become a caterer for this house that houses all the apprentices and the working Michael. So it focuses on those two's friendship and the cuisine that she makes, which is not really high level cuisine. It's not strictly Japanese. There's a lot of sort of a mismatch, sort of Western style Japanese foods, things thrown in there. But I'm not sure what to make out of the animation per se because it has a very small bits and pieces, and I was kind of when I first watched, I was expecting the full like 24-minute long episode, continuous sort of story flow. Didn't expect it to like chop into the bits and pieces, but animation's okay. But I think manga will be the better ways to go about this series. I think it captures the essence of the friendship and all the personality better. Uh, I think they just kind of went a little off track on how they made this series. That's my take. I
So,
was a lot more excited when it first aired.
so my question would be like, you're talking about food porn. Like,
Mm.
what would you compare it to? Like Kofuku Graffiti? I think that was a Shaft
It
one that had
mm,
that kind of
not
style, or are we looking more like over the top, like maybe Food Wars or something like that?
Neither of those really.
mm, mm.
It's more cutesy moe, perhaps.
She makes food, but she doesn't really explain how to make it. I think in manga, at the end of each chapter, some of the dishes that she mentions are listed in ingredients sometimes, but Food War is kind of over the top, creating sort of like a five-star restaurant quality of things pulled out of the air, whereas Kofuku Graffiti is more of a, it centers more towards like everyday, more traditional foods, and sometimes you see how they are made, but this is really more. Her making food is sort of a more or less a plot device than anything. It's just a way to uh, gauge the mood because she mainly makes those food to help out her friends depending on how tough the training was, how the weather is outside, whether it's too hot, too sticky, too cold. If it's too cold, she remembers of what kind of food that her friends used to like to have. So she kind of makes those kind of food to cheer her up, and all those people who lives there kind of gets pulled into all those things that she makes. But it's not necessarily focusing on making food per se.
So maybe
It's
it's like working just without the comedy, or so much comedy.
uh, it's not really a comedy. It's more of a drama series. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Let's go ahead and move to the next title. I kind of want to say this is isekai, but I don't know. Maybe. What do you guys think? Combatants will be dispatched.
Um, I guess you could say it's technically an isekai, but I it doesn't really fit with the feeling of an isekai, perhaps. I went into this one being a little bit excited for it because it's written by the same guy that does Konosuba and Keimono Michi, which are both the type of comedy that I like, just sort of stupid, farcical type comedy. But I didn't laugh once in this one, so it wasn't my cup of tea. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad show by any means, but if a comedy doesn't make me laugh, then I'm not going to continue on with this one. So I dropped it after an episode.
They did do a few Konosuba references, I would say, within it. Like when they mention magic, he yells "explosion," which I actually chuckled at.
Yeah, okay, I will take it back. That was the one time I laughed.
But also, like in episode 3, there's this one moment I believe where they're climbing something, and this girl was yelling. She had the same face as Aqua with her, her crying face where she's like, ah. So it looks like they are referencing some stuff from the Konosuba thing. But other than that, I have read some of the manga. Not a lot of it. I think it was just something that I saw that was new and read a little bit of it and I thought it was interesting, but I never went back to catch up on it. And now that it's an anime, watching it, it's still somewhat interesting to me at least. And it's also slightly different from what you would normally watch out there, because instead of it being he's here to save the world, no, he's here to conquer the world. So it's and like he gets points whenever he does an evil deed, and so he's always doing stuff. And even though he's like now working with this country to help them, his morals and everything are so different from everyone else's that he's able to accomplish things. And people are like, how? And he just tells them like, well, all you have to do is this. And they're like, what? How could you do something like that? And he's like, what? It got the job done. So he's our dark hero in this show, and followed by a small little android, this petite little girl with a shotgun, and he ends up forming his own army or troops, which are a lot of eccentric characters as well. Like this girl, she's always in this wheelchair, and you realize that she can actually walk. She's just she just likes to ride on it. And you have this other girl who's what is she? A chimera, right? Yeah. She takes on the attributes of the whatever she eats or the monster she eats. So her whole goal is to eat as much as she can to become stronger. But of course, all these people have their big flaws, and even the main character, he's I guess they say he's been augmented in some way so that he's stronger than the average human as well. But he goes by the name Agent Six, I believe it is, and it's just silliness and goofiness as he's trying to pretend, I guess, to help the kingdom. But like I said, the ultimate goal in this whole story that we've been given is that he's there to take over the world for his his group, I guess, organization. Sorry, yeah.
Secret society is the word you're looking for.
Secret society. Well, can it really be secret society if they've taken over the world? I don't know.
They're always in the shadows until they try to take over the world. So I mean, this is more enjoyable if you have watched a lot of Japanese tokusatsu. So the Kamen Riders and that kind of thing, the Power Rangers. So the main character is not a good guy. He's minion number 6 essentially for this secret society, and he's sent on a mission. And it's just hilarious to me because I've watched a lot of these, and often the minions don't even get names; they get numbers, right? So he's number 6, and he does all the minion-y things. He's been augmented. He's wearing a powered suit, and there's a scene in either episode 2 or episode 3 where they're trying to feed the Chimera girl a grasshopper, and she's refusing because she doesn't eat insects. But they're like, no, the grasshopper is the most powerful of all organisms you can eat, and that's because Kamen Rider is based off of a grasshopper motif. That whole thing is hilarious to me because I get all the in jokes. But if you haven't watched it, that just sounds kind of stupid, right? So a lot of it has to do with if you've watched a lot of this genre, then you get to partake in a lot more of the inside jokes that they're trying to throw out, and things like how come all the females are always lewdly dressed, right? Um, and things like that. They're and how he has to pay for out of his earnings and evil points, he has to pay for items that he needs to request from headquarters because ultimately they are cheap, right? They're like, we're not going to give you stuff. You have to pay for it. You joined our organization. So, the shotgun that the Lolly Girl android requests, he paid for it. And you would think that would be supplied to him, but that's not. So those things are funny because it's typical evil society, secret society behavior, and he is bringing that kind of mentality to the battlefield, which is all chivalrous knights and fighting fair and square and going at it from the uh, charging into each other, right? That's like the dumbest thing you could do in actual warfare. He's like, no, I'm gonna go burn the supply train so they have no food and no water and no supplies. They're gonna have to retreat. That's what he does. Underhanded, but very, very effective. So that's why. I mean, granted, the animation is not good. It's like an episode. This is like the training ground for animators. So I think they're farming this out to like Vietnam, Korea, wherever, and getting new animators to get some practice because they clearly multiple people have worked on the characters, and they are in many scenes off model, hilariously sometimes. But because it's such a goofy show, it kind of fits. Konosuba does it on purpose. They go off model on purpose. But here, I don't think that it was meant to be, but it just looks like they did. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, again, if it's not, yeah, if you know have watched Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, that kind of stuff, then it's you get a more out of it. If you don't, then it just is kind of seems childish and stupid. Well, because Tokusatsu is not highbrow art. So uh, there you go. That's my take on it.
Yeah. What else do we have here? Oh, let's hear about this. Let's see what Sean has to say. What is Odd Taxi?
Odd Taxi takes place, I think, in Shibuya. So when you think of Shibuya, you think of nightlife, yakuza, and crime. And so it sort of takes place in this world of like there's this eccentric taxi driver and a cast of eccentric characters, and there's some sort of crime conspiracy plot. And being a taxi driver, he drives people around, he overhears things, and he has like weird, whimsical conversations with people. So it's basically a crime drama, but with animal people, but not really furries. Kind of more in the vein of like aggressive Retzko, sort of like cartoon animals. But it's also a comedy piece, but the comedy isn't like loud and shouty and fast talking. It's not that kind of comedy. It's more deadpan. So Odd Taxi is my favorite thing so far this season. It's just absolutely fascinating and weird, and I can't wait to watch more episodes of it to learn more about these characters, see more of this like strange humor sensibilities, and just see where it's all going. Because like there seems to be a lot of like I don't know, tentacles, threads in the crime story. So like in episode 2 it introduced an idol group, and it just introduces them, and then it moves on from there. And so it's probably going to pick up that thread later on. Like somehow everything is connected to this crime plot. It's cool. That's all I'm going to say about Odd Taxi. It's a really cool thing. It's different. I think I relish having alternative titles like in each season. Something that's not following trends and is trying to do something a little bit different, and it just has like its own weird vibe to it, and that's Odd Taxi.
Interesting. So is this something you would recommend us to try to get into, or?
Yeah, I mean, just watch the first episode. Like the first episode is a pretty good primer to what the rest of it is like.
What is this?
Where's it streaming?
I think it's Crunchyroll, right?
I don't goddamn know.
Yeah, Crunchyroll it says.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I thought I saw it there. And
I'm sad Albert had to go. I kind of wanted to ask him about Shadow's house.
Oh, I love it. But yes, I wish that he was here to talk about it.
Yeah.
what was that title called?
Shadow's house.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
I was doing a search on Crunchyroll and I typed in Odd House instead of
Shadow
Odd
Taxi.
Here we go.
That's a weird. It's all in gold. Can't see it too well in here. We got Shadow House. Let's see. Well, I have no idea what this is.
Oh, this is cool.
Let me see.
If you're a fan of gothic horror, I should say, and I am, so this is right up my alley. Sean, have you seen this one?
I saw episode 1, and the like screamy moe-ness like really got to me. I'm like, I can't. But it looks really interesting around the edges, and I don't know where it goes. Like at the end of the first episode, she looks out the window and sees a menacing character. I'm like, does this turn into Rose and Maiden? What is this thing?
Well, I think the moe-ness is used to juxtapose the situation that Emilico finds herself in. I I don't know if it's necessarily what you'd call a bait and switch, but I think it's a bit of a red herring, is that it's supposed to lull you into, oh well, this is gonna be okay because she's just so cute and whatnot. Nothing bad's gonna happen. I think all the bad is gonna happen to her. Um, it takes place in an unknown world in an unknown time in a mansion that's, you know, very gothic in its presentation, um, very very dark kind of thing. And the mansion itself is owned by a group of people who are called the Shadows family. And the Shadows are shadows. They don't have, they're silhouettes basically.
Yeah, they're
And
black silhouettes that are oozing. What is
soot.
it? Soot.
Soot, yeah, soot.
Yeah.
When they feel an intense emotion of some kind, whether that's fear, anxiety, they tend to just erupt with soot everywhere. And there are another group of people living in the house called living dolls. And they seem to be human beings that have been brainwashed into thinking they're not human, because Emilico at one point looks at herself to see where her joints are, but she has no joints. She's a human being. And they have to look and dress like their counterparts of the Shadows family, and they act as their faces. So a shadow you can't look on the Shadow's face and see an expression or what have you. So these little dolls act as the shadows to go around and basically imitate what their facial expression should be so that they can easily communicate with others. And in episode 2, so mild spoilers, Emilico meets other living dolls in the house, and they're basically, oh, we live wonderful lives. We get to clean all the time, and cleaning is so much fun. Yay. And she sort of makes friends with one of these other living dolls. But then later she bumps into this living doll and that living doll's shadow. And the shadow is not nice. And so Emilico is very confused because the shadow's doll is acting, you know, very meanly to her when, you know, just the other day they were very nice and friendly. So I think that this is going to be about the loss of innocence rather than a cutesy moe doll thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed pretty sinister around the edges. I kind of wanted someone else to tell me about it.
Yeah, it certainly exudes that sinister quality, is that this is not a good situation. This is pretty messed up on a lot of levels, but Emilico is just so innocent, and she's probably been brainwashed to think that this is okay. So I'm really looking forward to this one every week. It's like this one and To Your Eternity are probably my favorites of this season.
I might have to check that one out as well. It looks like it's on Funimation.
Yeah, I think you should, Tank. It's pretty darn good.
So I think for our last title, since we're getting to our 2-hour mark, or we're past the 2-hour mark, but I kind of really want to know about this show because I have not been able to watch it at all, and I really want to. So maybe I'll hear a little bit about it, but it's called Seijo no Maryuku wa Banno desu.
What's the English title?
The Saint's magic power is omnipotent.
Okay, I have not seen this.
I've tried to watch it this week, and every time on Funimation I click on episode 1 to watch, it says, cannot pull the video. I've tried on my tablet, tried on my browser, tried multiple times every single day. It still doesn't work. Funimation, get your act together. But it looks like Vinny might have seen some of it, so I wonder.
Yep.
I'm really wondering what this is about.
Starting is a very cliche isekai stuff. This sort of medieval-looking kingdom is facing the crisis of historical proportion, where they are being about to be overwhelmed by, this monster creature. So, according to their legend, that's the time where they have to summon saints to help save their world, which they proceed to do that in the very first episode. Problem is that they ended up pulling out two of them instead of one. And instead of having a two um, person that was summoned in and they call a saint, it's almost as if they pulled one and the second person becomes sort of a bonus add-on kind of thing going on. So the person who's responsible for guiding the saints ended up taking the one person they were meant to summon. And then there is the main character of the series, which is her name is Sei, that she kind of ended up just dumped in here with really no ways to go back home. And she's your prototypical OL, the office worker, kind of accidentally pulled in. Now she's kind of like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Since this world doesn't seem to be very much interesting in having her service to save this world, because they already have the main saints. So instead of putting her through the ringers or try to cast away or try to kill her, they basically given options of, well, sorry for the mishap. Since we really cannot send you back to your home, you can just stay in castle and do whatever. But her being a working member of society, staying in the castle and doing nothing really doesn't bode well. So she decided to just roam around and see if there's anything that she can do. And she ended up moving into the residence where their main responsibility is to create potions. So she moves into that, and she takes up an apprenticeship and tries to make a potion along with a bunch of other guys working there. And the weird quirk that she later finds out is that whatever she makes, it's about 50% more effective. Simple potion, 50% more effective. Great potion, 50% more effective. But beyond that, she doesn't really have any obvious extra power that's expected to have from somebody who travel isekai. And she doesn't have any interest in trying to change this world for better or whatever. She just wants to work and just get along and do whatever. But in process, there's a scrimmage breaking out, and they're treating all those people. And she was tasked with bringing all the potions that they have it available. And one of the potions that she made ended up saving the life of this captain, and he kind of falls in love, and he's trying to woo her, and she's trying to get this why. It has a typical shoujo trope. It's sort of a reverse harem in a way. That center of attention is her. She's not really obviously trying to get anybody, but there's always saving me this like a good-looking man getting kind of interested in her one way or another. And since most of the isekai tends to be the other way, there's a one overpowering guy and kind of attracting a lot of girls from all different kingdoms and princesses and whatnot. This is like a reverse version of it. But what interests me most so far is the style of the animation. Because I look at the light novel cover, I never read it, but it looks very different in a good way. Character reminds me a lot of those late 90s animations. She has that kind of a pointy, distinctive look and the shading. And I find it to be rather refreshing that it does not look like something that you expected to see from modern animation. But the quality is good, animation is really well done. And the fact that it's sort of a gentle pacing, there's no war breaking out right away. There's nothing that demands her attention to be pulled out of wherever she's being pulled up and try to save the world from get-go. It might eventually happen to that point, but since they already have the main saint who has to take care of all that to save the world from all the cataclysm, her job is sort of being the sideline doing what they're doing her own thing, and it I guess I like those isekai, kind of option type of isekai that where main character doesn't have to be the center of the world trying to save the whole world and some, just kind of going about doing their own things, just little things here and there, sort of everyday kind of lives, and fall in love, try to build a bridge, try to connect some relationship here and there, things that make sense in more normalish. This is very much a drama with a bit of romance added to it. And every now and then, kind of like those kind of series, it reminds me a bit of the Snow White and the Red Hair from a couple seasons ago. It
Well,
has that kind of feels to it.
Akashiri Yuki or something like that.
Yeah. So I was watching it, I'm thinking, I think Jess might have liked this one, but I'm surprised she didn't watch it. So, am I the only one?
Funimation wouldn't let me.
I I read the first sentence and it's like so and so gets summoned to another world, and I was no. So that's my own snobbery that got in the way of this one. So
I mean, believe me, I would have fault you for it, but sometimes I guess you just have to go beyond the first sentence and into the second sentence.
that's fair. Yes, that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, so first 3 episodes I watched it, and I liked it enough that I'm actually looking forward to the fourth episode whenever it comes out. I think it's the middle of the week, the Thursday or so. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thank you. Sakuhei, thank you for chatting with us out there. Hope you like what we had to say. He only asked, when's Buddha Fruity Season 2 coming? I have no idea. Anyone hear anything about it?
What's the series?
Buddha Fruity, the shield girl, remember? That one she plays in the game. She's like, I put all my defenses, all my stats and defenses.
The second season getting greenlit yet?
Yeah, I think it'll take a while because I don't even think the manga's gone really all that far compared to what they released in the anime. So I wonder like if maybe they just don't have the content right now, so we have to wait until they make more story. We're gonna save Demon Slayer choo choo train thingy for the end of the season to give more people a chance to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to watch it. I cried a little bit, and I was happy actually. The opening scene, I would say, makes me excited for everyone else to watch it. So watch it, and then we can talk about it at the end of the season because we don't want to give too many spoilers. And I feel that if we talk about it, there's just going to be nothing but spoilers.
Okay. Both Free Season 2 is due on 2022, next year.
Oh, 2022. Okay. So there you go, Saku. Vinny found it for you. 2022. I do know there's a few titles that I'm excited for this year, but other than that, thank you all for watching. Join us on our Discord. We don't do too much actually in there, but every once in a while,
join us anyway.
Every once in a while, you'll see something interesting pop up, and it's kind of fun. Other than that, loaded season this year. I want to see how far Jessica goes, if she'll keep this full list, or is she gonna drop some stuff. I know I'm going to check out some new things myself. That Odd Taxi and the Shadow thingy. two things
Shadow House.
I'm thinking of trying out. But I'm actually surprised there's not too many really big ecchi titles this season compared to last season.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. I think redo of Healer gave everyone a lifetime of.
Like
ugh.
we'll put the whole year's etchiness into one season or one
Mhm.
episode, one series actually maybe. So other than that, thank you all once again. Good night, and I hope I'll put a Discord link, right? And you guys have any last comments, things to say?
Nope.
Stay away from blue reflection rays.
I'll throw out the factoid that the top Japanese box office record holder was Spirited Away, which is like, when did that movie come out? Like 2000 or so? 99?
Mhm.
That thing's old, but it was finally dethroned by Mugen Train, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Reshahen, or whatever.
Oh my word.
So that was the context in which I went to the theater, is like, what's so special about this effing movie?
Was it
And-
effing good?
I mean, should I just spoil it? Should I just say if it was good or not, or we're gonna save that for next week?
So this train hits a kid. He gets isekai'd. He has an eye
Sure.
patch. And
I mean,
gets
yeah,
thrown
there's
into this
kind of an
rom-com.
isekai in it. You really stretch the definition.
You could just gotta add every single trope. He says a haiku after every attack, right? But yeah, we'll talk about it at the end of the season.
Hmm.
Anyone else have anything to say? Or
Nope.
okay,
When's that Evangelion movie coming? I don't know why I'm so interested in it, because I didn't like Evangelion 3, but I kind of want to see the fourth one. It's supposed to be like 4 hours long or something.
I don't.
Oh my
know.
god.
What?
What's that director's cut?
Well, that's
Like,
it.
I want.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Join us, and maybe the post discussion or whatever you want to call it.